city we have visited after staying at this resort after the wedding was San Antonio. So now San Antonio is another city in Texas. Texas, as you may know, is nicknamed the Lone Star State to signify former status as an independent republic and as a reminder of the state's struggle for independence from Mexico. The Lone Star can be found on the Texas state flag and on the Texan state seal. So an interesting thing is that in Wellington there's a restaurant called Lone Star, and in New Zealand rather, not just in Wellington, and I've been to it many times but I never quite fully clicked that that's what that was about. But back to San Antonio, here you can see some footage of us doing a cruise along the river that they have there, and you can do it as a walk or you can go on a cruise. It only costs a few dollars, and it's quite interesting. It tells you a lot of different history about the area, and I'll share some of the interesting facts with you now. So San Antonio, from Spanish Saint Anthony, officially the city of San Antonio, is the 7th most populous city in the United States and the 2nd most populous city in both Texas and southern United States, with more than 500,000 residents. It was founded as a Spanish mission and colonial outpost in 1718. The city of San Antonio celebrated a 300th anniversary in 2018, so it's fairly old, and it is in Texas, as I mentioned, 121 km southwest of Austin and 310 km west of Houston, so sort of in the general area. The Alamo is what you will see next. Place that we visited is actually a pretty interesting historical site. It is located in San Antonio. It is where Texas defenders fell to Mexican General Santa Anna. And phrase, remember the Alamo. Remember the Alamo. It's like a quite big well-known phrase. It's like on the t-shirts and labels and such all around the place. The Alamo is considered the cradle of the Texas liberty, and it is the state's most popular site. An interesting thing is that Texas is the only state to have the 6 flags of the 6 different nations fly over it. They are Spain, France, Mexico, Republic of Texas, Confederate States, and the United States. And it basically represents about all the different governments that ruled the city in the history and historical times. So there was some Spanish in 15 to 1600s. There's some French from 1685 to 1690. Then there was Spanish from 1690 to 1821. And then there's Mexican in early 1800s, then the Republic of Texas. So Texas was its own state for its own, like you can say, republic, little mini country for 10 years. Then it went into the United States. An interesting thing is Texas is the only state to enter the United States by treaty instead of territorial allocation. The Battle of the Alamo has occurred in this area, and what you're seeing us walking through is the museum basically talking about Texas Revolution. So there was a lot of war and a lot of fighting. I won't go into too many details here, so it doesn't take overly large amount of time, but basically there was a lot of war, and there was a Mexican army at the battling the Texan people. This area was the site for the Battle of the Alamo in 1836, and today it is a museum. The historic district was one of the early Spanish missions in Texas, built for the education of local American Indians after their conversion to Christianity. I'm putting in a few photos just so you can see what the place looks like now and on video as well. So the mission, along with others located in San Antonio, is at risk from environmental factors. The limestone used to construct the building was taken from the banks of the San Antonio River, and it expands when confronted with moisture and then contracts with temperature drops, shedding small pieces of limestone in the area. So it's quite fragile, and there's a lot of different things you can't touch and can't play with. But it's definitely an important historical site for the locals. Even though Mexico refused to recognize the Republic of Texas, the United States did. Texas designed its own flag and established its own laws. The Republic of Texas was much larger than today's state of Texas and included parts of Oklahoma, Louisiana, Colorado, New Mexico, Arkansas, and Kansas. And there's a lot of fighting constantly going on with Mexico and fighting over territories and changing of the border. So Texas seceded from Mexico in 1836 and had primarily American settlers in the territory living. And after the final engagement at San Jacinto in 1836, there was two different visions for the future of Texas. One as a state of the United States and the other as independent republic. Sam Houston promoted the first as he felt the newly independent country, lacking hard currency and still facing threats from Mexico, could not survive on its own. The other was promoted by second Texas president, Marabel Lamar, who felt that it was Texas's destiny to be a nation that extended from the Louisiana border to the Pacific Ocean. For this reason, Lamar is considered the father of Texas nationalism. The Republic under Lamar included large-scale debt and suffered from poor economy and inadequate defenses, which led to the Texas as a republic being added and became one of the states in the United States. Do you know, I wonder, especially coming from oil and gas industry, I did wonder how could have Texas economy have struggled in the past, since they do have so much oil, right, and gas. And an interesting thing that I have found is that Texas was its own independent nation from 1836 to 1845. In 1845 is when it was joined with the rest of the United States. Oil and natural gas, as you know, are the most valuable minerals produced in Texas, and Indians found oil sipping from the soils of Texas long before the first Europeans did. They told explorers that the fluid actually had medicinal values at the time. But the first record of Europeans using crude oil was on caulking of boats in 1543. But there was also some oil being found in late 1800s. So if you think 1845 was when that state was added to the United States, and only in 1889, so basically 45 years later, is when they drilled a couple of big wells and created a refinery, but officially the sort of oil industry has started in January 1901. So that's definitely, 55 years later. 1901 is the most famous day in Texas petroleum history. This is the 10th of January, is the date that the Great Gusher erupted in the oil well being drilled at Spindletop near Beaumont by a mining engineer. So basically there was not much oil that was found and established. That economy wasn't established, that industry wasn't established in the area just yet, which is why they were having all these issues and with the economy and stuff. So I thought that was a pretty interesting place to visit, really. And to end the day, as you can see again here, some footage from the Topgolf, a place called Topgolf. And you basically located, there are a few different levels, a big, tall mesh around the area. And you gotta do a bit of golfing and whichever, hole in the area your little ball goes into is the points that you accumulate. Again, very, very fun, very interesting activity, and definitely would come and do that in Australia. We have actually Topgolf on the Gold Coast now, so it'd be a fun place to visit. It's a boat of cozies. You had a scared look.
So good. So good.
Going, my kuisingka. My kuisingka. Ikaruisinka. Hey my darlings, it's bright and early and I am going to a store, a bike store. I need a helmet and we found a bike store not very far from where we're staying, so I'm going to spend maybe a little bit of time looking at helmet, looking at bike shoes, maybe trying a couple of kits. I've been needing a new helmet, so let's check this out.
I like them a lot. How are you?
Good.
Great, I'll figure it out.
You want it to be fitting really snug, then you turn upside down and you see if it will come off. Feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. I like this helmet. I like this one. It's a cast one also. Pretty cool, but it's extra large. It's my head's not that big. Now, which one do you reckon? I'm looking at this. I do like the silvers, but I don't think they look as good on the head. And I know it's not about how good they look, but anyway, humor me. And there's this guy. It's very bright, very visible. But I do like that color as well. But I'm thinking maybe this one. But it still costs 150. You can call it. They're cheap, but. So there's this one. Costs 150. Very bright hair. I think it looks good though too with all these things. And I'll try on the blue one. Hold on. Anyway, let me know if you found it interesting, if you found the history of the area interesting. I definitely have about the Texas. And I'll see you again soon.